She wasn't allowed to be heartbroken after 6 months.
No. Hi everyone, we're the Candid Book Club and welcome back to our YouTube channel from, I don't even know if this is my left to right.
Yes.
This is Tanya, Oma, I'm Linda, this is Mimi, and this is Jess. And we are going to do a short segment on some of the 2025 reads that we've already read because we've been gifted a lot of proofs, which we are always eternally grateful for. So we're going to talk to you about the ones that we've read so far and some of the ones that we're looking forward to reading. So I will start with Oma.
Okay.
All right.
I will kick off with The Rewrite by Lizzie, Damilola, Blackburn. So I read her Yinka, Where's Your Husband last year or maybe the year before, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And it started off promising and it was a rom-com set in I think South London. But I didn't enjoy it as much because I feel like it was catering to a slightly more paler crowd in the sense that
Oh Lord.
in the sense that everything was over-explained and I felt like it took me out of the story and it really didn't need to. This, I think, is a lot better. It doesn't do any of that, so it feels a lot more authentic and real, and it's catering to everybody, including the audience that it's written about. So I think in that sense it was really good. So again, this is a rom-com about two exes, and one of them ends up going into the villa, which I guess basically is sort of Love Island.
Right.
He goes into the villa to find love, and he ends up being a bit of an F-boy there, and he comes out and he's become overnightly famous because of his antics. He's really hot, but a lot of people have a lot to say about him. So his agent decides to write a memoir so that he can explain his side, and she's a ghostwriter. She's trying to become an author, she's trying to become published, and she also does ghostwriting on the side, and somehow they end up having to work together. And they're quite young, I think they're only early 20s, right? But they only dated for about 6 months before he breaks up with her and then he goes into the villa. So I feel like that constant yearning and not getting over the relationship felt a bit forced, because I'm you were only together for 5-6 months. I wish it'd been a bit more of a significant period of time, or a bit more had happened. A lot of people did enjoy Yinka, so I'd be interested to know what people think about this. So this is coming out, I think, in February.
And also, can we ask everyone what is an acceptable time period for heartbreak? She wasn't allowed to be heartbroken after 6 months. So what is the acceptable time?
So this is The Rewrite.
Okay, and another one that I read is Emma Healy called Sweat. Now this story is complete opposite of this. It was very deep, very heavy, and basically it's about a relationship where it's focused on fitness. So the guy, he runs a boot camp, he's into fitness, that's his business. He gets with a girl called Cassie. She meets him at his boot camp, they start dating. And then as the story progresses, you see everything that happened, but it's looking back in time. So you get snippets throughout the story of what's happening, because you meet her currently where she's become a PT now. She's working at a gym, and her ex-boyfriend actually walks into the gym, but he's blind, so he doesn't know it's her, but she knows it's him. So you get flashbacks of everything he did to her. And this book stayed with me for a while. I found while I was reading it, I was getting very uncomfortable, because there's not outward abuse where he's hitting her or any sexual violence, but it's coercive control, which is a lot more sinister in a way, because it happens very subtly and over a period of time. And the way that he took her away from her friends, or if she was out, he would call 1,000,000 times, or slowly she's had to just start cutting people off because it was too hard to explain, or it was just not worth it. And he controls everything: how much she works out, what time she wakes up in the morning, what she eats, how many calories she can consume. And that mentality, even though they break up, that mentality stays with her, and you can tell how it's really screwed her up. So this was a really difficult sort of read.
But it sounds so realistic. I hate saying that it sounds realistic, because it shouldn't be for anybody, but it sounds like it's really true to how coercive control works.
Yeah.
And that's it's incredible that and also can get into that
thankfully,
mindset.
I've never experienced that, but I know women who have, so I can imagine this would be very triggering for a lot of women. So I'd put that as definitely a warning before reading.
That's out in January.
Yes.
Right.
So it's a bit of a mad
And
one.
is that Murky Books?
No.
Hutchinson and Heinemann.
Right. Okay.
Hutchinson
So thank
Heinemann.
you, Hutchinson Heinemann, and the rewrite was from Penguin.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, publishers. Okay, Jess.
So, join me as we visit Japan in February of 2025. So this book is called May You Have Delicious Meals, and it's by Junko Takase. I hope I've got that right. I'll read the quote on the back. I wish I could eat pot noodles 3 meals a day and still meet the dietary requirements for a healthy life.
That would be my nephew.
Class literature, that is.
That's my nephew.
Must be Japanese literature.
Classy as hell.
Again, I just want to point out that
Love
a pot noodle in Japan is very different to the pot noodles that we have in the UK.
Okay.
Pot noodles are like a delicacy. They have a museum dedicated to pot noodles out there.
Oh,
They
wow.
do.
So
We should have
it's a really big deal.
We should have a museum dedicated to pot noodles.
I thought
I
pot
don't
noodle
think
was
they have
very British, you know.
the green chicken curry pot noodle is definitely a very British concept.
It's really nice.
Listen,
I love it.
listen, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
If we can eat 3 a day and be fit and healthy,
100%.
happy days.
So what I want to say is that the guy in this who wishes that he could eat 3 pot noodles a day is the weirdest, little bit borderline psycho man you will read in a book in 2025.
Wow.
The story is like, it's very short, as you can see. I would call it a novella. It's translated. It's about like office life in an office in kind of a suburb just outside of Tokyo. It's a really small office. They all they don't know each other very well, but they all clearly know what they dislike about each other. It like really accurately describes all the cringe things about office life, like going to a really bad group dinner with your bosses and it's just having to make awkward chat, or someone gets drunk and it's just really embarrassing. Like all of those little things, but running along the backdrop is Nitani, who is the main character, the pot noodle guy, is kind of trying to choose between 2 women. One who is like very, really into food, well cultured, eats a lot, desperate to be a wife. She cooks and cleans and everything. She's like a really good girl, and then the other bad girl is Oshio, her name is, and she is kind of despicable. She really wants to manipulate situations to her own benefit, and she manipulates Nitani into coming up with a secret plan to bully the other girl in the office, even though he's sleeping with the girl that they want to bully.
How did the author cram all of that in
It
this
sounds like a
novella?
lot, I know.
Literally.
But it's a wild ride. It's a very short wild ride, and I massively recommend it. It's a great insight into the kind of culture over there, like these kind of weird psycho people.
Who sent us this?
I don't know.
This is also
actually.
Hutchinson Heinemann.
Yeah.
Oma picked it up for Jess and
Right.
said, "This is a Jess book."
Look how
And she
well
was
my
right.
friends know me.
Exactly.
When's
Nailed
it
it.
out?
Oma, well done.
So this is out in February 2025. So
Right.
please pick this up. Somebody tell me what you think. I don't think
I
any of
wrote
these
a
girls
read
will
it.
read
I think this will be the first Jess recommendation I'll actually read.
Wow.
And
After all this time.
It's only taken 8 years.
and then the book that I'm about to pick up next, so I haven't actually read this yet, but I'm really very much looking forward to this, is Sunstruck by Will Hunter. You guys raved about this when you came back from the Murky Books showcase, and a lot of people that we've spoken to at our events were like, "Oh, I'm really excited to read Sunstruck," so I've decided to put this next on my list. I think it's about a guy called Felix who meets a kind of mysterious man on holiday in the south of France, but then when they come back to the UK, things kind of take a turn.
It's a bit Call Me By Your Name, apparently.
Ooh.
That's what everybody was been positioning at.
Interesting.
And at the showcase, Will Mellor was really engaging.
Will Hunter.
Will Hunter, sorry. Why did I say Will Mellor?
Will
Who's
Mellor
that?
Will Mellor is the guy from
Cocoa Melon.
2 pints of lager and a packet of
Oh my
Cocoa Melon.
god! Will Hunter!
I like Will Mellor.
Sorry, Will.
Sorry, Will. God, that was weird.
Let's carry on.
Anyway,
so
Will
Will Hunter.
They were really engaging. They were
Yeah.
just so kind of warm and creative and had this really lovely manner that I thought was just going to lend itself to this being really quite enjoyable as a read.
excited.
So I'm
Yeah.
excited for you to
And
review it.
So this book isn't out until May of 2025, so you guys might have a long wait, but I'll let you know. My review will be up on the page pretty soon. And thank you so much to Monkey Books for giving us an advance copy of this. So, yeah.
Big build up for that one.
For sure. I mean, we first met them in July
Yeah,
of 2024
yeah.
when we were invited to present, was it the Murky
Young Writers
Young
Prize or
Writers
something.
Prize?
Yeah.
So yeah, really privileged to be able to do that and hear about these books way before they come out
We are
into
very
your
lucky.
hands.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's another book that you both have read.
yes. This is fundamentally by Nussaibah Younis, and Nussaibah was actually at our book festival in September at Fulham Charing Cross. If you didn't hear about the festival, where were you? You were under a rock. Anyway, but both Jess and I finished it. Jess is just about to finish it. And this is a debut, and it is brilliant. So coming in February 2025, this is the story of a young woman who is going over to a refugee camp to repatriate ISIS brides
In Iraq.
and in Iraq and from Syria and from like all over the region. And believe me when I say this book is absolutely hilarious, and surprisingly so, obviously given the context. I could not stop laughing through so much of this novel, and I wasn't expecting it. I was completely floored by it. The characters are chaos. They are so self-involved. It's fantastic.
But we love chaotic characters.
We do love chaotic characters.
It's almost like, it's like when you watch one of those like sitcoms on TV that is really funny and then suddenly has these moments of like, okay, this is actually really serious.
Yeah.
But it's belly laugh funny. Like I've laughed out loud.
It's so brilliant. It's so, and again, it's one of those, like you were saying in the beginning, just when you're like, oh, it's really real. It's really authentic. Oh, but Nussaibah actually did this job previously and was one of those people that went out to those refugee camps to try and sort of get states to take back these women that had gone and get married to ISIS fighters and had lots of children, maybe not.
Regardless of circumstance.
Yeah,
basically.
it was honestly like nothing I've ever read, and I think it will do incredibly well next year.
I mean,
definitely.
it's already like coined as a super lead. I think.
Yes,
definitely one. I think that we've discussed, Tanya, that we want to read. So yeah, what do you think, Tanya?
Yeah,
we're going to read that next.
Maybe not next. To be fair, I was wanting to read this one next.
What?
The Emily Sweat. I know it seems quite heavy, but you mentioned that it's on like My Dark Vanessa vibes. So I enjoyed that, even though it was really, really heavy.
It gave me the same uncomfortable feeling. Like in this, there isn't any sexual violence, but like I said, that feeling of like feeling very uncomfortable, having to like it stayed with me for a while to the point where like my husband kept asking me while I was reading, like, why are you so quiet? Why are you so quiet? Because I just I felt like I went in myself a little bit.
Wow.
It was mad, you know.
And so this one is making you feel uncomfortable, but funny uncomfortable.
But funny uncomfortable. Read that one first.
Yeah.
And then
I'll
this
read
one.
that one.
It's just
polar opposites.
It's just like, I don't want to ruin it, but I just think it's really important to remember who it's poking fun at really well, and it's not what you would expect necessarily. And I think if people find this uncomfortable, I think lean into it. Find it uncomfortable. Laugh at the bits you're not supposed to laugh at that you find funny, and figure out why that might be, because I think this is going to be smart.
So already this has got like rave reviews from the people who've received advanced reader like review copies. For me, I'm very interested to see how white people will receive this book.
100%.
Because obviously we're talking about ISIS brides, really, really heavy themes, really pertinent, really serious.
Places like Iraq, I think people think of black and white, like, it's just a terrorist state.
Exactly.
But
it's definitely not. But also, I'm just intrigued because I feel like they'll find it like super funny.
Yeah.
But
be like, will they get it?
Yeah, will they get it? So I mean,
I like to believe that, like we've always said, people who pick up books are smart people, and they will figure it out. I like to believe that. I'm an optimist.
Good. Okay.
We read to learn.
Yes,
exactly. Cup half full.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
what's
then
next?
The other one that I have, I've just started really recently, which is another one from Hutchinson and Heinemann, is Consider Yourself Kissed by Jessica Stanley, who is a lovely Australian writer. Really sassy, kind of sharp-humoured wit when we met her at that showcase. And this is basically what happens after Happily Ever After. Wow. So this is a couple that meet, get married, have a really good sort of start to the relationship, and then it's sort of what happens after that. What happens in domesticity, what happens when things get a bit normal and a bit ordinary, and what happens if you figure out that something might be missing from your relationship. So already really pulled into it, and I can't wait to finish it. I think it's going to be great.
Cool. Amazing.
That's another one I think I want to read.
Yeah, I think you'll like this one.
Right, so loads of books have been sent to us recently, so thank you again to the publishers. The one I read most recently is Salutation Road by Salma Ibrahim. This is the first time I've read a book by a debut Somalian novelist, based in London, in Greenwich. Very interesting. At first I was thinking, where does this book go? So we've got a girl who grows up in Somalia but comes to the UK probably as an 8 or 9 year old, has quite a tough upbringing in an estate in Greenwich. I think there's a road in Greenwich called Salutation Road. I need to Google map it, because if there is, I need to take this book over there and get a picture, obviously. But anyway, one day Salma gets on a bus and doesn't go to work. It doesn't take her to work, which is what it's supposed to do. And something happens and she goes into another dimension. And I'm not going to spoil it and tell you where she ends up going. But essentially she's reckoning with her identity as a British Somalian girl. And then you see her life before the incident of when she gets on the bus, during the whole thing and where this bus takes her in that journey, and then after the fact and her life afterwards. And there's this big secret that she's carrying. And I really enjoyed actually the after part. I mean, I liked it all, but it's very interesting. I don't want to spoil it because that bus journey is the pivotal moment here. So if I go into that, then I've basically ruined the whole thing for you. The Salutation Road, very, very different. I think it's probably going to be one that's quite divisive. People are probably going to be like, I didn't really get that. Or, yeah, okay, I got it and I rolled with it. So I thought I was part of the the former camp, in terms of, I don't really know where this is going, but actually by the end, I really, I'm ruminating. I'm still thinking about it. All right, review to come, hopefully. Okay, and then I'm so looking forward to reading. So this is from Fourth Estate. Thank you very much. This is The Persians by Sanam Mahloudji. Sorry if I've butchered that. But this is an Iranian author, and this is about an Iranian American family. And I'm really looking forward to reading that, because I haven't read much about Iranian families. I know I have a lot of Iranian friends, but I've not read anything about them. But I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically it spans from 1940s Iran into a splintered 2000s. And if anyone knows anything about Iranian history, then they know that over those 60 years, a lot has happened to Iran. So I'm very, very, very excited to read a bit about that.
This is such a Linda book.
This is a Linda book, from the title to the premise, you name it.
To the size.
Gosh.
If there was somehow a link to South London in this,
it would be a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for Linda.
So this is 367 pages, just about right. Okay.
Can I have that one after you, please?
Yeah. And then one that is out already in the States, but coming out in the UK in February 2025 is The Message by Ta-Nehisi. And I'm sure you've all heard about this book. I had a dear friend that was in the States, and I dropped her a message like, you gotta buy me this book. She bought me 3 copies, and we left 1 copy in the middle of Plaza de España in Seville. So if you're an international viewer here and you're in Spain and you happen to be in Seville specifically, then lucky you, because a copy of this is in one of the little cubby things, across the plaza. Fortunately for me, she bought me 3 copies. So here's one. I haven't read it yet, but I think we've all heard maybe or seen the interviews that the author has done about this book. But essentially, he's talking about, he goes to Palestine for 10 days. He talks about the South in America, and he also went to Senegal. So 3 completely different places, but he speaks about his observations as he goes to those 3 places. And obviously critically acclaimed author, and I cannot wait to read this. So that is that
heavy one.
Yeah, heavy one, but it's super informative. And I think it's really important to read. So Ta-Nehisi is a Black American author, and he's writing about Africa, he's writing about Palestine, and he's writing about his own doorstep. And there's a lot of maybe similarities, but also a lot of differences across those 3 places. And so if for the context of Palestine, mainly Palestinians write about Palestine. It's good to have another voice who's quite big out there writing about his observations without any influence. Like he went there, he saw it as an outsider, and I think that has a lot of weight. But I look forward to obviously reading everything else that's in this book. I highly recommend also the interview that this author did with Trevor Noah. It was really, really good, really insightful. Anyway, this is just a glimpse. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the 2025 books that we've been sent, and the ones that I'm sure we're going to end up reading. So watch this space, and please do like and subscribe if you want more, and drop some comments and let us know what you're thinking. So we'll see you later.
Bye.